Hi passionate learners, welcome back to my channel. Ima is here and I'm ready to share my stories. Here's the school contact that I can tell you about. So in the K to 3 classes, they designed the classes to be 50-50 bilingual model. So a half of the day, one class will spend in English medium of instruction, and then another half of the day, another class will spend in the Spanish medium of instruction. So I draw some pictures here related to the classroom layout because this is new to me. Like while you are seeing sometimes like the class only focus on maybe like students tables and teachers table, and that it will be like separated from, let's say, the school office or like the teacher's room, for example. But in the school, there are 3 teachers at least that occupy the same room as these students. So the first one is the math specialist, reading specialist, and the class teacher. And this layout to me very interesting, but at the same time, I see different kinds of interactions between the teachers there. Like it's not similar to what I saw in my context in Indonesia. Like while teachers mostly intimately conversing with other teachers, but here in this context, like there are a lot of going on and with the students, because like the class teachers need to be their father or mother all the time. So in terms of like timing, the class teacher might not have a very good amount of time to interact with other teachers because he needs to be like in charge of the kids. And then in terms of scheduling, as you can see here, in the medium of instructions using English, for example, they mostly focus on science for the English part, and then for the Spanish part there is another section which is lectura. And then there is another literacy using English too, and like formally speaking, the teacher divided into 2 sessions, literacy sessions here in the morning and later after the read aloud session. And it's also quite surprising to see that the class uses read aloud session a lot. Like every day they will have this session to engage with the materials that are not in the curriculum. So if in public schools in Asia, for example, maybe like the read aloud session is not that much, and also like geography, history are something separated from the school, the picture books materials. So they have their own sections like geography, history, and then social studies. But in this class they use the read aloud session to introduce these concepts like history, geography, and social studies. And then so yeah, I've talked about this a little bit, and what we can learn from here is that the bilingual model that the Fourth River Elementary School has is somewhat fair for the students, but again, like at the same time, it's also challenging. So for example, in the English of a medium instruction class, mostly they will deliver the science content, but when they move to Spanish, they mostly will cover only math and literacy. I mean, literacy here means like studying the Spanish words, studying how the Spanish is spoken, for example. So that's a little difference. Okay, so let's talk about some lessons that I learned from the school. So I like to be like seeing the school from the whole aspects, including the facilities and resources, teachers, support, and then other things that I will mention it later. So in terms of facilities and resources, if you see here, since this is first grader, I love to see that there are a lot of visuals that help the kids to remember. For example, the instructional resources here, they use the word wall, and then they do have like meal resources, including like students' preference for the meal, and then they have the hygiene resources too. They have their own bathroom, and then they have the tech station where they can pull out some like Chromebooks if they have this tech time. And then there is a rest station. So I didn't mention it here, but the rest station here is that students can take 5 minutes to take a rest if they feel like burnt out or like depressed during the moment. So one time, one student like was so upset, and then like asked for the teacher's permission. Can I go to the rest station? And when I was asking why you go here, and she said, I miss my mom. And then I was asking, where is your mom? It's in Holyoke. Okay. So there was a lot of emotional dynamics with the kids because they're still small. So yeah, I really understand that the kids might be in need of a company of parents, but at the same time, like, they have to be far away from them. So yeah, in terms of the school program, I will introduce you to these two curriculum that they use. The first one is for science, especially for the English medium of instruction class, they use National Geographic curriculum. And then for math class, math subject, they use this one, I read mathematics. So at the same time, even though they use like the National Geographic curriculum as the main curriculum standard, they still use additional curriculum, which is FOSS and GSS. If you guys took the World Language Innovation something the previous semester, we talk about like NGSS, like what is it called? The science generation science, blah blah blah. Yeah. So the cross-cutting concepts and blah blah blah. Yeah. So they also learn from that, and I see a lot of hands-on learning from this curriculum that the teachers try to implement, and they also got like the material supplies from this curriculum. So for example, science, they got like 2 boxes related to the science experiment. So for example, they do sounds and vibration, so you can use all the stuff there. And then the model that the teacher used to conduct the lesson is mostly inquiry based approach. So they will the kids will have like one inquiry wall in front of their classroom, like in the like on the whiteboard. So they will have this inquiry sheet to remind the kids what they are discussing. So this is one of example that the iRead curriculum tries to connect between family and class activities. So for example, here we do have dear family, this week the kids are studying about tallies, for example. So in this curriculum, they are trying to do ask the parents to find some particular maybe utensils that the kids can calculate like at home. But this one is the ideal one from the curriculum, but mostly from what I observed in the class teacher did not really incorporate this idea into family and school activity, because he said that for the first grader students, they did not have homework, so he tried to avoid any activities at home. Okay, for the class management and inclusion, I like the way they also structure different types of activities to release the tension of the students using brain break, body movement. So they are using these games to move after one session each. And then one surprising program that I can implement really is the birthday literacy gift. So every student who has a birthday, so the teacher will remind her, oh, you have a birthday, then we will get you like literacy gift. And they have an eraser, a very cute eraser, and then an envelope with one pencil and like a literacy guide there. And what sort of like activities they can do with this guide. And then in terms of kindness class goal, this is sort of related to the behavior of the students. So every day, the teacher will have like a board, like a digital board, to input the points for students who do great work, who do kindness in the classroom with other peers. So yeah. And then for the class management and inclusion, the other thing is snack and lunch. I love to have snacks in the classroom, but at the same time, it's also related to funding. But this one, I think, is like a pre-purchased meals, so the students need to register themselves before they get this lunch. But if they have like some leftovers from the lunch or from the breakfast, they will put it on the cabinet and they can take some if they want. And the last one is the teacher substitution. A lot of adults come to the classroom. I couldn't say that there is only 2 teachers, only me and the class teacher. No, but there are a lot of them, including the teacher who is with the emergent bilingual with disability. And then the second one is the teacher who is substituting. Well, here the substituting means like another teacher outside is employed and then they come to the class to just observe sometimes, or to help 1 or 2 kids in just one small group. Like they can help the teacher in terms of like instructions. And okay, another program that I could say inspiring is that school and community engagement. In terms of library use here, it's very active, to be honest, because once a week they will have like library time with the librarian, and also sometimes they collaborate with the music teacher to conduct sort of reading time and singing time in that like auditorium. And then there are also some other programs which are teacher voices, using some of the teachers use Spanish in those dialogues, and then some of them are in English. And then on the school wall, for example, they have bilingual art wall, which is really good to adopt, I guess. In terms of like bilingual school, they try to represent what the identity of the students through the language. And then one of the things that I just found on their social media, on their Facebook, Parent Garden Organization of Facebook, they usually use announcement in bilingually. So I will show you one of their pages. So this one. And sometimes like we thought that like writing one similar information in 2 different languages takes a lot of time, but they do it just because I think to give like an inclusive learning environment, inclusive engagement environment for the parents too. The instructions for the literacy, and these are some types that the teacher used to instruct the students in terms of English literacy. So they will have visuals mostly on their worksheets. They have phonetic awareness. The phonetic awareness here like train the students to perceive the sounds of the English words. They have like blending words, or like they have what is it called? I think deleting one of the phoneme from the word and then creating a new word from that. But in the phonetic awareness, they did it like orally. And then there is also a great resource from the books there, which has like different types of levels. So if the kids, for example, is in beginning level, then teacher can assign them with the dark blue color books here. And usually teachers will assign like reading pair in their like instructions. Like after they teach about, for example, words with magic E, for example, then the reader 1 and 2 here could like read to each other like what sort of words that you found on the slides. Then they can like rehearse to each other. And most of them Also, spelling practice is, I think every day they do spelling practice, like they do how to spell trick words. They will have like one small whiteboard with their own marker, and then so whenever they do the spelling practice, they will get the marker and the whiteboard and then sit on their table, and then the teacher will like, okay, Julia, please write some, and then the kids try to write some. So in the very big like class, like 20 students for example, it's hard to control like which students are correct in terms of like writing. So of course the teacher substitutions program there could help, but there are only some time for teachers to substitute there, not like always every day. So the people who are from, for example, like internship program like me and other kids from UMass, they can help the teachers in a group. So like especially for the ELL student, I usually like ask for, okay, I will do the spelling practice with the ELL, because my focus is like how to see different kinds of linguistic transfers and perceptions of the languages. And then categorizing is also one of them. Okay, so here another one. They have the poem about Magic E. They do like introducing the concept of Magic E using poem, which I really like. And then they do have shared reading, so they will do shared reading a couple of times within 2 months, I guess, depending on like the theme or the topic that they want to deliver. And they use this one, like the line, to indicate like when and where students need to put a tone, like need to put a focus. Like for example, Jake the whale was very big. So they are not like saying in robot mode, like Jake the whale was very big. So that's the idea of using this line. And then they will have tracing word activity. I think it would be like 2 times in a week. So they will have their own book there. In terms of science, because science are doing with a concrete and abstract activity, so the teachers try to combine both. So after they do this, for example, investigations, they will have the investigations first and then coming up to the concept, like abstract one. The grade picking, so the idea of this one is that training the students to do subtraction 10. So whenever the student has a number on the dice, they will subtract it with the 10. Like for example, the dice comes with 4, for example, then the student will subtract 10 with 4. And this is also interesting. Another one is that using a lot of like resources from the FOSS and the science standards there, they can do every investigation in class using that supply, and then they do like the concept again from the activities, hands-on learning mostly, but of course like the messiness in hands-on learning is like the challenge for every teacher. And what I like from science, this is I think like the experience that I never get during my schooling, is that when we do the math, they do in backwards. So not only like counting onwards, but also they counting backwards. Like for example, 1, 2, 3, but they also do 3, 2, 1. Okay, and then another one. Okay, if you see here, the worksheets are the combinations between visuals and text, and that's really liberates the students to think out of the box, I guess, and also like to absorb what is the investigation without being concerned of, oh, I should choose 1, 2, 3, but they like describe their experience on the worksheets using pictures, using text. I think I will skip in the lecture part, but I also learned something from there, that Spanish and English shared several like words, and I also learned that the teachers try to do like differentiated instructions because there are some teachers helping her. Without these substitute teachers, or like the intern like me or other students from UMass, I think she wouldn't do these differentiated instructions, like giving different kinds of activities at the same time at that moment. That was really hard because like one single activity needs to be handled by one person. Or maybe the alternative is that like the independent kids can do the complex one, then they can do themselves. But in another way, like medium kind of like beginning kids, they will do with the teacher, not like independently. And then for the teaching strategies, I saw these things really useful, like using sound waves. They say roller coaster. So when they wanna use like the sound a, they will use this roller coaster methods to practice the sound and what is the object that sounds like a. And then, okay, I've discussed about cognates in Spanish and English, especially in vocabulary, introduction, and meta language. The meta language skills that students learn is in science, in literacy, in everywhere, I guess. Especially for example, in math, for example, they use the word jump to say about scale. They use the word roller coaster to say like the sound, and then they use finger spacing. And this one is very good like activity, I guess, for the kids strategy too. Like when they want to put space on their like sentence, they will use their little finger and put it like this one. Why you do that one? And like the kids will say, this is the way we put space on our sentence. And we say, wow, okay. I could understand that. This one, these are the types of the word walls that they have in class. As you can see here, these are, some kids might cheat on the word walls, but that's okay. I mean, they get used to it, like, you know, writing the spellings too. And the concept wall, this one is the content walls from the science and math class, and also the word wall here from the kids birthday. And I think this one also like building up their identity as a person in the class, like being included into the class. And these are some others too. They have the mini class library. And I just want to discuss some of this student observation, I guess, especially for the linguistic transfer. So I found a really interesting part because some of the students they speak Spanish as their first language, especially with these students. So he spelled the word have as gaff. And I was kind of like discussing with the Spanish teacher, so is the word gav exist in Spanish, or the sounds for these letters exist in Spanish? And she said, well, the h sound in Spanish is the J letter. So okay, I was thinking that maybe this kid is trying to write J using J, not G. So to what is it called, like to produce the h sound. And then because Spanish, like for the f sound, and English for the v sound is, you know, like in English it might be like very very distinct, but in Spanish it's not, like f and v, I think similar, like
we don't have distinction.
Yeah, so it's like this one sound only, yeah. Right?
without r.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I think that is also interesting part that I could find from my students. I also tried running records for one of the students speaking Spanish as the first language, and because she is, I think, in the intermediate level, she could figure out like how she does reading. And then for the suffix s and the base word, usually teachers use like the line and then the circle to indicate like which one is the base word, which one is the suffix one. Okay, I'm gonna maybe talk about more about this one too. Emergent bilingual with disability. So there are a lot of like interventions in terms of the emergent bilingual with disability. So one student in my class was in the classroom, even though he is kind of, I think, autistic student. So but there will be like one teacher who always accompanies him all the time. At other times, he would be pulled out from the class just for a couple of sessions, I guess, but not always. But he is going to be in the classroom for the sessions that he took during the day. And then these are some of my curriculum unit teaching. Like as you see here, I would share the worksheets that I created. I try to work on with spelling here, and then the students will write the spelling like adding E letter, and then try to pronounce it like limb to be lime, div to be dive, because most of the time they do these things orally in phonetic awareness. So I need to, like, I try to put it into writing, and then they use these visuals too. And then they have these worksheets too about sound, like soft and low sound. And then they have another section there. So, this one is the categorizing activity about animal with different types of ears, because this is still related to sound. So everything that I created for science is always connected to one concept, which is sound and vibration. And this one is spider trapped, to teach the students about spelling. So they will use this meta language spider trapped to understand, there is a trap on my writing, that there is a trap on the text, using this spider.
Wondering if I used that for final paper.
And this one is the hops. Well, I didn't know this activity before. The students say, "Is this hopscotch? What is hopscotch?" I don't know that concept, but I just created this activity for them, and then try to connect between like the concept of communication and communication sound, and how the sound is traveling from one medium to another. So one student here will do some sort of motions, like different types of motions. If you see a circle, then you should clap. If you see blah blah blah, you should like walk with one foot, for example. And then once they arrive in this yellow tape, like the friends there who are waiting for them will ask, if you can call your parents now, what will you say? So something like that. This is the last one. This one is a little bit complicated for the student, but yeah, I of course like learn from my worksheets as well, that not all of my worksheets work. Like one of the examples is this one. This is too complicated for them, I believe, because they have to like read the instructions. They have to write the findings of their investigations. I would say that probably in the future I will like fix these worksheets and just put it one activity there, like for example ticking activity only, and then put another one which is like writing down the investigation findings in another for another meeting. And for the implication part, I love to say that to achieve this bilingual environment and teaching practices, collaboration, restoration, and live together with the languages are important. And for the class activities, using cross-linguistic discussion, translating to code switching, talking about the cognates and how the school represent the socio-cultural background of the students in this environment, with the arts as well, and the teachers placement and recruitment, as well as the school community and family collaboration. So that's all it. There are a lot of going on here. So that's all it. Thank you.
Thank you.